Hey everybody, how's it going? Make sure that we're live on the YouTubes. There we go. Okay. Everything looks like it's working proper. You want to introduce yourself?
Um, I am Gonzo. I am her other half, the lesser of the two halves, and I am a overall geek, former minuscule voice actor, unpublished writer of scenes, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So, former hotel drone.
Yay, we've got Mel with us. Hello, good morning. Hope you're doing okay. So, yeah, 9 years ago,
Today, actually,
today, you
nine
moved
years
up
ago
here.
today, I
Yeah,
did. Hard to believe that it's been 9 years ago today.
9 years. Yeah.
Wow. And I still live, so I'm either doing something right or I've got her extremely full, folks.
We've got
And it
Eva.
is an
Hello.
anniversary, yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Happy moving anniversary. He actually moved in with me 9 years ago. Well,
Yeah,
moved in with me and Mel here 9 years ago.
yeah. Because I was on one end of the state and then I moved to here, which is a little bit past halfway, I
it's
would say.
it's
About three
pretty much
quarters of the way into the
halfway.
state.
Yeah.
It's not quite the end of the state like where you originally were from, but yeah, it's about three quarters of the way. So
Yeah. Because Raleigh technically isn't the middle of the state either.
no, no. I mean, I'd say Greensboro is the middle of the state.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. It's been 9 years already, Mel.
Hmm.
Let's see. Eva says Saturday is
Ooh,
my guy and I's dating anniversary. Nice. Congratulations. Happy dating anniversary. I don't know when we moved in together, but sometime in those first 30 days of dating, nice. It's the season for love.
yes,
Yeah. Mel says, yes, that lovely cricket house. Yes. I think the only
yeah.
room that was not slanted
The
was the
living
living
room.
room,
Hmm.
right? Because the kitchen was slanted, the bedrooms were slanted. I'm pretty sure it was just the living room that wasn't slanted.
I don't think the kitchen was slanted.
No, it was slanted.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, because I remember dropping a spice and it rolled like all the way to the corner.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the same state. So he lived at the beach in Wilmington, and I moved from the mountains, like the furthest west of North Carolina that you could possibly go, Murphy. I moved from Murphy into the Hickory area, and then he moved here to the Hickory area too. So yeah, all the same state. Had to walk uphill to get to the kitchen. Yeah.
Same state, but it was like a 5.5 hour drive.
Hmm.
For some people, that's across the whole state.
uh, well,
Like you
yeah,
can drive from one end of you can drive from one side to the other Rhode Island in like 3 hours. So yeah,
right. Well, you can drive from one side of to the other of Ohio in 7, right?
something like that. Yeah.
Or 6.
So
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, North Carolina is an awesome state because you hit all the things all at once.
hmm
Eva says
that's
also Raleigh is a kid's middle name. Nice. So I know how to spell it and everything. Yeah.
see the statement you just made though. I can't remember how many times I heard that back when I was working at the hotel at the beach from the film studio people who came in. they would all say the same thing. That's why we film in North Carolina, because we hit all these different terrains all in the same state.
Mm,
Like we can hit mountains, we can hit coast, we can hit plains, all in the same place. We don't have to go anywhere.
yeah.
So
And you can hit different types of mountain towns too. You can hit the ones that are haven't changed since the 1860s to the ones that are updated, and some of them have like these glass buildings and stuff, to a hippie town, to little Switzerland, to whatever. And that's all just in the mountains. And then you hit like the middle, and it's the same way. You can hit towns that haven't changed in the 1860s to modern towns with skyscrapers and stuff like that. So yeah. He says I wasn't seeing those comments until I swapped to live chat. I don't know why it defaults to top chat. Yeah. I hate top chat. I don't understand why it's like default. Live chat should be default. Let's see. What does it cost to live in a place like that? With mountains and oceans and things. Honestly, it depends on the county. I know the county where our house is going to be, the house that we're moving to, at least that we're in contract with. That county has fewer land taxes. Everything is a little bit cheaper than like the surrounding counties around it. But then you get to the mountains, the less populated counties are cheaper, but you also kind of need to know somebody to get in good with some good places.
I do know that at the coast right now, the real estate boom has caused everything to skyrocket. So yeah, I mean, just crappy apartments for the cheapest $1,500 a month, which is insane. Granted, it is on the coast. It is a college town. There's a lot of factors there, but still, it's
No,
blown up in the last 10 years
no.
since I moved away. It's blown up.
Hmm. And Raleigh's the same way. It's like really high end rent for these tiny little apartments. Charlotte is kind of half and half. It depends on which half or which quarter of Charlotte, I guess, you're in. And Asheville, again, is kind of like Charlotte. It depends on which half of Asheville that you're in as to whether you're paying $2,000 a month for a studio apartment or $500 a month for a studio apartment. Knoxville
No,
is,
no,
huh?
yeah. Sorry, I'm reading ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. So Knoxville is, it was 2 hours from where I grew up. Or it is 2 hours from where I grew up. Knoxville is good. I haven't been there in a while, but I know if you kind of branch out a little bit towards Sevierville or Maryville, a little bit outside of Knoxville, things can get a little bit cheaper and they're not as busy. You don't hit the, what is it, not Patton Avenue. What is that road that everybody always wrecks on in the middle of Knoxville?
I don't know. I've only been to Knoxville once.
Brain, it's not working. But anyway, you don't have to hit that road if you're, kind of outside of Knoxville. But if you're inside Knoxville, you always have to hit that road, it seems like. There are decent paying jobs in Knoxville. I know there's plenty of factories. There's also a little airport. I think, I don't know if Google officially moved in there or not, but I know that Verizon has a big kind of hub there, as well as T-Mobile, I think. But yeah, there's some decent paying jobs in Knoxville. Maryville is the same way. Maryville is got a couple of hubs for some bigger companies. Sevierville is still really country, but Sevierville also holds Dolly. So if you can get in with some of her companies and conglomerates and stuff, then you've got a good job.
Down to the coast, I mean, there are a handful of good paying jobs, but it's not much. As I said, in the Wilmington area in particular, it's college town. Everything around it is all tourism. So that's part of the reason why I moved this way, because I was in the hospitality field, and granted that particular hotel paid a lot more, but it's still nothing compared to what I'm making now slinging expensive beds. So yeah.
Yeah. 1,500 a month is, well, even here in the
Well,
outskirts of
just in our
Hickory.
just in our apartment complex. I mean, we started off with our apartment complex 8 years ago,
Mhm.
and I mean, we started off at like five something, and granted, we're up to 670. Our neighbor who I talked to last night, they're up to eight, and at least two people we know who've moved into the complex, same apartment, are up to 1,200 a month. So yeah, it's the cost of all that has gone up tremendously. That's why we're getting a house, because granted it's going to be more, but it's going to be our place and we'll have
Yeah, we
land.
can do what we want with it
Yeah.
and actually fix it like we want to instead of having a step that tries to fall with us whenever we try to get out the door. Hey, Shannon. Thank you for hitting the like button. I hope you're doing all right. Eva says, I visit Knoxville often. My daughter owns her own. She's lived in a few areas around Knoxville, but is Knox itself now. Yeah. We used to call Knoxville Knox Vegas just because of how busy
Bougie.
everybody acted and how bougie a lot of the people were there.
It's
Liquid
bougie.
bougie. Hey, hey, Felicia, how are you? Hope you're doing good too. All right. So now that we've talked about bougie Knoxville,
Bougie.
let's go ahead and jump into our first sprint. All right, everybody, let me know what you're working on during this first sprint, if you would. And we will get started. Shannon says, doing well, prepping for author newsletter masterclass on Saturday. Nice. We'll be on my channel starting at 2 p.m. CDT, at 3 p.m. Eastern. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. All right. Can't wait for that. I'm going to have to see if I can't jump on.
I'm torn between what I want to work on now.
Uh-oh.
I'm torn between adding stuff to the crap we need for the house list, reading my book on my Kindle, or reading my manga.
Mm-hmm.
Bad manga. So yeah.
Hey, Rachel. Good morning. Oh, at least you got it cleaned up, even. That's all that counts. All right. Don't forget to hydrate. Don't forget to get some noms if you have some rumblies and tumblies. And don't forget to stretch if you have been sitting for a while, especially. And let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1. Get at it. Alrighty. How did everybody do on that one? Hit the wrong button. Go back.
Oh.
All right. I got in just 394 words that time because I kind of got distracted with the Amazon list.
I kind of added a couple things to the Amazon list.
Let's see. We had Broken join us. Hello. I think I
Eva
said
did the
hello.
best things.
What?
I said Eva did the best things.
What?
She said she did things legal in my state for that one. The best things.
Yeah. Mel said that she's going to try to get some more sketch layouts done for the comic. Let's see. Eva says yard work is the plan for the day, but we'll see. Let's see. Andy joined us. Hello, hello, hello. We got to talking about landscaping and how landscapers are kind of ghosting Eva. That's okay.
Oh.
And Broken says, I hate it when I'm typing something in and just suddenly forget how to spell an extremely common word I know how to spell. Happens to me all the time. And when you do spell
yesterday.
it... Huh?
I did it yesterday at work.
Yeah.
So I'll say mine here in a few minutes. You go.
So I also hate it whenever you're struggling with spelling it, but you end up spelling it correctly, but it still looks wrong. That's what I hate. Anyway, go ahead.
See, like yesterday, I received an email because yesterday is my 2-year anniversary at my job. So they sent me this little thing. Congratulations, you've been with the company I'm not going to talk about for 2 years. And you've had all these achievements and all. And my former boss and manager of another location, who I've known since the day I moved up here, she put up a thing about, I'm proud of you and blah, 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 because you know how Adrian is.
Yeah.
And I typed up a reply. And it was very simple. It was like, thank you for believing in me and bringing me to said company. And I sat there for a good 2 minutes trying to figure out if I spelled the word believing correctly. Because it just did not look right.
Yeah.
Because it looked like beliving.
Yeah.
And in my mind, that's how I was pronounced. That's how I typed it. Beliving. That's not how you spell believe. And I had to look it up twice. It's like, no, that's right. No, that can't be. No, that's right. Before I hit the button.
All right. Da-da-da. Yeah, there's that one. I did things legal in my state for that one. Felicia cooked breakfast, ate, and then washed dishes. Nice. Eva says that her backyard is like a zero draft instead of a final draft. Rachel says, I tripped and fell into box lunch all the Halloween. Oh.
Nope. We're gonna avoid box lunch. We're absolutely going to avoid box lunch. We've been to the store once. We've ordered a couple things offline, but yeah, we're gonna avoid that.
Yeah, we ordered way too much from box lunch. Yeah, occasionally. Yes, that one definitely gets me every time too. And for some odd reason, confusion. I guess because I'm confused on how to spell confusion, but I always mess that one up. Let's see. Rachel says the spelling thing happens a lot. I sit here glaring at rhythm for at least 25 minutes yesterday. It still doesn't look right to me, right? Occasion doesn't even look like a real word. Believing.
Mm-hmm.
Believing. Oh my goodness. Yes. No, Andy had to go. Hope you have a good day too, Andy. Definitely don't do. I wouldn't do. Definitely don't do anything I wouldn't do. Yeah, it's all right. Do that with receive. Yes, receive is another one. In the famous words of some actor, if you do nothing, nothing can go wrong. Oh goodness. Once upon a time I tried to look up how to spell epiphany, and even Google didn't know what I meant. Took me searching the definition. Oh goodness. Yep. Let's see. Thesaurus is a bad one too. Because I remember having to, because I couldn't find my physical thesaurus. So I was trying to find an online thesaurus and trying to search the word thesaurus without being able to remember how to spell it. Or it just looking weird. It was fun times. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 394 words that time, and that brings me up to 59,518 for the month already. So needless to say, I have upped my word count goal to 80,000 for the month to see if I can reach it. I'm going to officially do the August 80K, I guess. Conscience and conscience. Yes. Yes. Hands are the visual equivalent. Yeah. I remember having, because you have a hand poser or something, because it's, yeah. I can't imagine trying to draw hands. This is, let's see. Also saying you must win every nano. Not, I have for the past 3 years, whenever I have participated in nanos. So yeah, but this month, okay, so July and now August have been distraction months, and I think that's the reason why I'm writing so much is because I'm trying to distract myself from everything that's going on, because high stress levels and grief, because it is the 2-year anniversary of mom's passing away and all that good stuff. So I think it is destructive words. That's the reason why I'm writing so much. Rachel says my kids work at Starbucks and they can wear enamel pins, so box lunch is tempting me. One of them does a Mickey Mouse voice when working at drive-thru sometimes, so I was considering that. Yes. Yes. Thank you. That's the correct number of fingers, right? Wait, can it bend that way? How many knuckles is in a finger?
Depends on who you talk to.
What anime was it that had like was it 4 knuckles per finger?
I think Baki the Grappler had, like a whole bunch of knuckles on his fingers.
Yeah,
The original OVA.
it was so weird that I couldn't finish the anime. Can't remember what it was.
Sorry,
Was it Overlord? No, we finished Overlord.
No, we stopped watching Overlord after a certain point.
Okay.
Because season 3 it started to get stupid.
Right. It was one of the skeletal little main character animes, and they had like four different knuckles, and it was like every time they showed their hands, I was like, eh.
I think it was Overlord, actually. I think Overlord.
Was it? Okay.
Because of his skeletal frame. Because, like, the other one where it was a skeletal knight, that one wasn't that bad, but that one only had, like, one season.
Right.
But I think it was Overlord, because there were quite a few things with Overlord, and it was like, it's starting to get stupid.
Yeah. Oh, Thief and the Cobbler, too. Zigzag.
Yeah, Zigzag. He's got 4 knuckles.
Yeah, he's got 4 knuckles too, and that always weirded me out.
If you look at the shirt that I have of Zigzag, you can see all 4 of his knuckles.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that's just weird.
But I mean, if you got somebody who's the double jointed like that, especially in their fingers, like the people who can like curve their fingers around, most of them they have that extra knuckle.
Yeah, but that's not. It's different.
No, no, it's the same thing.
No,
They
it's
just have an
not.
extra knuckle and they run backwards.
Yeah, but they still have the same number of knuckles. It's just that
No, they
they're
don't. They
able to
have an
bend
extra
backward.
knuckle.
No,
Some of them have an extra knuckle. I'm telling you.
no.
That's the only way that that works for
Hmm.
the ability to do that is an extra knuckle.
So are you saying that since I have double jointed elbows that I have an extra joint in my elbows?
I'm saying that you're freaking weird for having double jointed elbows.
Actually, my brother is the one that has the double jointed elbows. Mine are broken.
Because of your brother.
No, not necessarily. This was because of a horse. This one was definitely because of a horse. And then this one is just broken. Yeah, double jointed. It does say it in the thing, but it's in the same pocket, so you don't necessarily see an extra joint because it's in the same pocket.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Okay. With that being said, yeah, Overlord had the super long fingers. Yeah, that's that. I was thinking. All right. Okay. Overlord and Thief and the Cobbler with zigzag.
Yep.
All right. Do not forget to hydrate. Do not forget to get some noms if you have some rumblies in the tumblies. And don't forget to get up and stretch. What an odd combo. Y'all do the same thing in sprint. Our conversations, I mean, yeah. It's like us in life. Some of our conversations are so out in left field, it's funny.
Hmm.
So,
And I will continuously run a conversation until she eventually tells me to stop.
yeah.
What was it? Was it the
Or we have a squirrel moment and we completely switch to a different conversation that's probably over in the right field. And then eventually we might come back to some kind of normalcy.
there
Maybe.
was one that we got into one day, and eventually you just kind of looked at me and was like, "I don't care," which is a lot of our conversations, to be fair. Um,
It was probably something about one of your movies that you watched. The yeah.
I'm trying to think of what it was now.
Yeah, that is the reason why it's so fun to hang out. Normal isn't all that great. Yeah. Squirrel. Are there anything but squirrel moments available? I I feel like I constantly squirrel. Yeah.
So the thing about Back to the Future,
When you were like rattling off all the dates and
well,
all.
the fact that the whole movie takes place in like a 72-hour period and like a whole
Yes.
bunch of people get killed.
Yes. And you kept giving me the reasons. And I was like, okay, I get it. I got the point. I get it. And then you just kept going.
That I mean, I know that I've had that one a couple of times. Well, like my buddy Will and I, we went to dinner. We went to breakfast one day because we both got off work third shift. So we're sitting in a Cracker Barrel and we're eating breakfast, talking about how if you're the transporters from Star Trek, and there's an episode about it to where if you get transported from point A to point B, your original body is destroyed. So eventually you're just clones. It because the transporter breaks down your body and rebuilds your body, but what happens if it doesn't do that? And there's an episode of Next Generation where there's like a clone of Riker who's left on a planet and he's stuck there because everybody got out of there and they thought that they were gone, but the transporter didn't send it over, and then it becomes which one is the real Riker. And that's why teleportation, if it's done in the Star Trek way, really doesn't work, because essentially you're just clones. So why isn't there breakdown like other clones? Because multiplicity, the movie Multiplicity, the more clones he makes, the different personalities pop up, to the point to where the last one that they make is such an inferior clone, especially, mentally. But once you get to that point, as you're starting to break down, and every time you do a transport, are you immortal? Two, are you the original? And three, why isn't there breakdown? Yes, the Thomas Riker episode broken.
Mhm. So yeah, is a non-squirrel moment a human moment? Do not recommend. And then Mel says there's also big-lipped alligator moments. Let's see. Broken says I usually have multiple trains of thoughts going, so sometimes my wife makes me backtrack to the origins of what the hell I'm talking about before I lost her somewhere. Yes.
That sounds familiar, right?
For both of us, because you've had me go back to, okay, what were we talking about? And yeah.
Yep.
If your consciousness exists, it exists. And if it ceases to exist, you never know. So does it matter who is the real one?
But it also comes down to the fact that if you've got, two different clones of each other and they encounter each other, which one is one, the claim to the name, the claim to the title, and the claim to their existence?
This is why I don't write about time travel and alternate universes. Exactly.
Oh,
Brain
I'm
begins to
reading a
break.
great book about alternate universes right now, and I like the way that they're doing it too. So,
Whoops.
off tangent, it's this book that I picked up on Kindle, and I don't remember when I picked it up or why I picked it up, but it's called Famous Men Who Don't Exist. And it is about a group of people, 115,000 people from an alternate Earth that were transported over because of some disaster, which I'm halfway through this book. They have yet to explain what this disaster is. Just that 115,000 people were sent over and they can't go back. So essentially, they're aliens because they're not from that world, because there's a divergent in the timelines around 1909 or 1910. So things are completely different in some aspects, so they call things different things like, but there's no explanation on what things are. That's one thing I do actually like about it, because the characters are thinking about their old world and how they packed up sixers, which are some form of music format, but it's never explained what a sixer is. um, that they have this and that, or the equivalent of cars were pods, and there's little comparisons, but for the most part, the characters from the alternate Earth still think about things in their verbiage versus the verbiage of the Earth they're on, and I appreciate that because it's not a full explanation. There's still that twinge of mystery, and that they're using terminology and slang and everything else from their world versus porting it over to our world. And it gives it to where they have their own history and terminology. And that's exactly what the book's about right now, trying to spread the history of their previous world that to their knowledge no longer exist, and they can't go back to it. But there's 115,000 people who remember this and are treated like, crap.
Okay. So we need to watch Upload from the CW. That's what the pattern buffer is for. Okay. Yeah, big lipped alligator moments. So Mel explains it down here. All dogs go to heaven. Cartoon made back when. Um,
Don Bluth film, 1988. Um,
Shush.
John DeLuise and Burt Reynolds. The first one is great. The second one's crap. The TV show sucks.
Yes. So in the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven, there is a big lipped alligator that just randomly starts singing. And it has nothing to do with the plot. It does not move the story along. It it's random. There is no rhyme or reason why there is a big lipped alligator singing in this movie. But it's hilarious and I love it. I like the big lipped alligator scene. But anyway, that is kind of a fandom verbiage, I guess, for things that happen in TV shows and happen in books that have no bearing on the plot. Doesn't mean anything to any of the characters in the story. There's no character growth, nothing. It's just a big lipped alligator moment. Hey, Lauren. Hope you have a good day at work. Why can't they share? Um, Both of them get the claim to consider a world with clones while insisting on singular identification makes no sense. Agreed. An upload is about the consciousness was uploaded to heaven instead of death. What? Keep it short and sweet.
One of my favorite books that I found at the dollar store is a book called Dark Matter, which is about this very subject,
Mm-hmm.
about who is the real person. It's not clones, it's alternate versions of yourselves who all come to claim one person. And they're like, I'm the real, I forget the main character's name. I'm the real version. I'm the real version. I'm the real version. And you have like a mirage of like 100,000 of the same guy coming to claim his family because it's the one universe where the family's still alive.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, okay, who gets the claim?
Yeah. So that is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, is
Yep,
what
it's
he's
right
talking
there on my
about.
shelf. It's
Yeah.
a
I'm
fantastic book.
looking right here at it.
Yep.
And it is kind of like the one. It really is like the one is
Mm-hmm.
could be inserted into Dark Matter.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yes. Let's make music together. Rachel says, so it's like a drug trip, no bearing on the plot, but they're in fun. I need to rewatch that movie. It's been a while. Yes, I love that movie.
That movie solidifies in my mind that Don Bluth exists to only give children pain, and I love him for it.
He does not just
Secret
exist for that. He did not just exist for that.
Fox and the Hound. Fox and the Hound is an allegory for high school and is one of the saddest fucking Disney movies ever created because of that. Land Before Time. Everybody cries at that one scene in The Land Before Time. All Dogs Go to Heaven. I'm not going to spoil the ending. It ends on a down note. Secret Ending is one of the scariest freaking movies you've ever seen as a child. Don Bluth exists solely to make children cry, and I adore him.
Welcome to my husband, folks. He wants to make children cry.
And Dragon's Lair, all the cutscenes that are all death animations and beautifully animated. And then you got Titan AE, which has one of the greatest exchanges ever in the history of freaking movies. Call it Bob. Bob? Bob. Why Bob?
Bob.
Bob's a good
Yes.
name.
Bob is the name of every computer that I have ever owned. How is there a whole Klingon language? The same reason why there is also an entire Elvish language and an entire Dwarven language. But yeah, definitely the Elven language.
Oh, there are people that so I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but it's a true story about two Star Trek fans who met at a convention who knew completely different languages and did not know each other's actual language, but held an entire relationship until they learned those languages because they spoke to each other in Klingon. It's freaking amazing.
I love Moon Knight. I really do love Moon Knight. Tattoos would be an easy fix for identity, though, right? Mm,
Not necessarily,
yeah.
because I mean, if you do a full clone, everything comes with it.
Mm-hmm. Broken. Broken was rooting for the T-Rex. Yes, Bob. Okay, what if Gonzo number 1 had 5 clones, and after 5 years of separate lives, Gonzo number 4 made a clone of himself on the black market clone line? If Gonzo number 4 dash to a clone to Gonzo number 1.
That goes back to the multiplicity argument as far as clones go. Because in multiplicity, the more the clones were created, the more they diverted from the original version, and they all had distinct personalities, but they started to degrade in time with every other cloning. Depends on how the cloning is set up. Because if you take Venture Brothers, all the clones are the exact same. I love how you just cut off the timer at this
What?
point. It's like, we're not doing this. Because like Venture Brothers, you've got the clones of the boys, and they've been clones with the same consciousness for 20 years, but they're all the same age when the clones are created. So it's one of those where it becomes okay. Are the it? I guess it just depends on how the personality is transported over, whether or not they stay the same or they degrade over time as far as intelligence and attributes go.
Well, even if you stick the same environment around a different person, like you and me are in the same environment, but we have completely different reactions to that same environment. So when is it that a clone, which is the same person, when they're stuck in a different environment or even the same, they will have a different reaction, even if they're the same. They have the same brain, they have the same body, but they're in the same environment. They're not standing in the same space because you can't stand, you can't be in the same place at the same time with another object. So you're going to have a
Well,
different
hell,
experience no matter what.
case in point, the clone troopers. Star Wars. The clone troopers, they all have distinct personalities and names for certain ones to distinguish themselves from each other, but they're all from the same person.
Mm-hmm.
They've decided to go through and do a distinct different characteristic, whether it's a scar or a tattoo or something like that. They don't claim to be the same person, but they do claim to be different people cloned from the same person. That's a little bit different though. What I was originally saying though with the transporter is that you're essentially killing the original person. The first time you go through the transporter, your body, you die. Your body, your body dies because it is disintegrated and then regenerated at whatever the point is. So it gets to a point, it's like, are you still the same person? Are you the original or are you a clone? Which is what the Thomas Riker episode points out,
Mm-hmm.
because there's two different ones. They're both existing at the same space at the same time, but one they are not the original Thomas Riker because they're not the original Riker because that Riker was disintegrated because of the teleporter. It's not like it's, you're opening a portal and you're walking through it. This is a complete disintegration and reintegration, or I don't even know what the proper term would be.
Yeah, reintegration or
Regeneration, I suppose.
yeah, regeneration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Also, there's assuming that it's copy machine, clone machine, not infants. To be honest, whenever you come back through on the other end of the transport, you're technically an infant because you have a brand new body.
Right, but you still have the same consciousness, the same memories, you're the
Mm-hmm.
same age. It's not like all of a sudden you're restarting everything over.
No, Bad Batch.
They do. With the whole clones thing. That's why you've got Rex and that crew that have their own personalities and their own names
Yeah.
because they broke away from the cycle and decided they wanted to be their own person. But then you've got somewhere where you've got two different Rikers, and it's like, no, I'm the real Riker. Who is this copycat?
So then you just have to recreate clones of everything that Riker A knows so that Riker B can enjoy the same thing, technically.
Right. But I mean, like in the case of the Riker episode, Thomas Riker's been stuck on this in this port for 15 years or 8 years or however the hell long it is, while Will Riker has been on the Enterprise going through all this stuff and banging all these aliens. So it's like, okay, which one's the real? No, I'm sorry. Riker was the Captain Kirk, where it's like, ooh, new alien. He's like Jay from Clerks 2. It's like, I'm gonna be the first guy in space to find a new alien race and bang it. That's Riker and Shatner. Every single thing. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
So Will Riker was able to do that. Well, Thomas Riker was stuck, but it's like, okay, who is Riker?
All right, fantasy, so I can do things without science. Woohoo! Same.
Well, most science fiction doesn't have science in it.
Bullshit the science sometimes. Cloning without brains would mean everyone had backup organs, donors would be easy, and modern medicine would lead to a very long lifespan. Exactly. I like how replicating the same cell over and over can cause mutations and cancer. Exactly. The only way to avoid the teleportation issue is teleportation actually takes you through some other medium. Cloning for existence is weird. AI makes more sense there. People want to reproduce. Cloning isn't necessary for life. Yeah. For example, teleportation in Warhammer 40k physically moves you through the warp.
Right, exactly. So I mean, if you go through a warp thing, that's different because essentially you're going through a wormhole. So it's not a breakdown of molecules. It's just teleporting from one end of the tube to the other end of the tube of the wormhole. That's different for teleportation. But when you do a teleportation like with Star Trek, where it's a disintegration and then a regeneration of molecular cells, that's where it becomes the who are you really after a certain point.
Yeah,
And
but
that was the conversation we had in the middle of Cracker Barrel for like 2 hours.
so like there's also the whole wormhole theory where if you enter a wormhole, you're still disintegrated in order for you to flow through that wormhole to reappear on the other side and reintegrate.
Depends on the wormhole theory. Like,
Exactly.
I
So
forget who's.
there's
I think
another
it's
clone thing there.
I think it is it Michio Kaku, or I'm trying to remember whose wormhole theory it is. Where when you enter a wormhole, it's essentially like you've got a piece of paper, but you've got the two ends of the paper that basically meet, and instead of break down and sliding through it like a tube, it's you're walking from one edge to the other. I want to say it's either Coco or I know that Tyson didn't. His wormhole theory is a little bit different. There's another theoretical physicist where it's the paper theory, so where it's basically time space bends, and
Um,
you've got the 2 points that meet, and then you can cross the threshold.
it's called the writer for Stargate Atlantis.
No, I forget which. Because before we got together, I was, me, I was really into like theoretical physics and shit.
Okay, but if you take the DNA of a person to clone them and grows the person from a baby, then they can be a completely different person. Exactly.
Yes, that's
Because it
totally
is
different.
a completely different environment. It's a completely different system in which that person is being raised in.
Hmm.
Um, So long as Riker exists somewhere, I'm fine. He was one of my crushes as a teenager. It was the whole chair thing.
See, I swear to God, one of my favorite videos of him is the clips from the Fact or Fiction show that he did, where it's just him asking questions. I love that clip because I remember those episodes and it's just him asking you questions. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I hope Rachel has a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Just Eva says, yeah, copy machine, clone machine is a science that's further off. We can already clone DNA. Yeah. Hey, Jordan. We are talking about cloning, technically. It reminds me of when Tucker got pregnant. And sure, why I'd ever want to create another 42-year-old version of myself. Yeah, I don't want to recreate.
Yeah,
Just
I
to
don't
give
want to
myself a new body, maybe. Yeah, but other than no. Teleporting is an option because our lifespans don't last long enough to travel to the far reaches of space. But what if we just didn't die due to cloning instead? One consciousness, two new bodies. Yeah. Star Trek, we're going to rip you apart at the molecular level, save your pattern in a computer, then pitch you back together somewhere else.
Exactly.
You can't trust group DNA. You can always grow plants by breaking off the stem or a leaf and replanting it. You have the same plan from, 40K. So we're going to throw you through this realm full of demons.
Yep, pretty much.
You might get some demon parts in you. This is an horticulture that you can do this. You can break at the leafer stand and make a new plant, but it's the original plant. Yeah.
Well, at that point, it's not the original plant. It's an offspring of the original plant.
Yes. So whenever, say it's a African violet, and the African violet splits and it creates a baby African violet. Whenever you separate that baby African violet and transplant it into another pot of soil, it then becomes its own plant because then it has its own experience and nutrients fed into it. So it changes, basically. Upload is the name of the series, only one season out. Okay. What I'm saying is you basically get a carbon copy of the plant. It's how you can be multiple plants up at once. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't watched all of Stargate Atlantis. I have watched all of Stargate and the movies. So, yeah. In Jurassic World 2, the lady cloned herself and integrated herself with her DNA. How is that not an issue scientifically?
Oh, it's definitely an issue scientifically.
I guess that would go into the whole your body, your mess concept.
Yeah, but that also goes into a whole nother thing where it's like, okay, you have the same DNA twice. That becomes a degradation in the offspring because technically that's incest.
Technically, it would be, yeah, but also,
That also goes to the whole, if you have two clones and say I have a clone of myself and we become sexually active with each other, what is that?
narcissism.
Whatever it is, it becomes a scientific improbability. So,
And all, okay, so,
welcome to writing sprint chat, everybody.
what?
Welcome to productivity sprints, everybody.
Yeah, we're talking science fiction. We're building a science fiction world. So I'm thinking that if you impregnate yourself with yourself, you're replacing the donor specimen with yourself, but it's your choice. So, yeah, that's a mess.
Yeah, because essentially that becomes a diluted bloodline.
But it's not really necessarily diluted.
If you have a brother and sister who have a child, the DNA of the child is diluted because it's the same DNA for the most part twice. And if you have a child who has the same DNA twice, is that a clone or is that a diluted version
You're
of that person
you're
twice?
using the wrong word. Diluted is not the correct term. What you're thinking of is weakened state of the DNA, which will cause the medical problems of a purebred line.
Right,
So,
but it's still diluted.
no, it's not diluted. That's the problem. You don't have anything adding to that bloodline in order to strengthen it. You don't have anything added to that DNA in order to strengthen it or to activate the other portions of that DNA that will either strengthen or weaken the offspring. So it's not dilution,
It's dilution by not including anything new to it. So eventually that bloodline is going to get weaker over time. It's the reason why pugs are the way that they are. Because they've been bred and bred and bred and bred and bred, and they've gotten weaker over time. So the DNA has become diluted
it's not
over
diluted, it's
time
weakened.
based by weakness. Degraded. Okay, fine, fine. I
There,
run with
yes.
degraded.
Thank you.
It's degraded. So my fault. Wrong D word.
Yeah. But
Degradation is still a form of dilution, though.
it becomes breakdown versus washing out.
Semantics.
Okay.
Yes, semantics.
So technically, if you have a bowl of red paint and you add water to it, that's dilution. But if you have a bowl of red paint and you add more of the red paint to it, then that is not dilution. That is more of the same. But it doesn't change color. It doesn't spread easier. Weird.
It's degraded.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially if you add old paint to new paint out of the same bucket, it's degraded.
If you stir it. Okay, growing entirely new plants is a socially acceptable magic. Yeah, aka science.
Yes.
So your arm isn't a
Yeah.
part of you. Yeah. See, Brogan says, I love Star Trek versus 40K, especially with like teleportation technology. Star Trek has tons of safety measures that once in a blue moon fail. 40K chants at it, throws some oil, and hopes for the best. When I read science fiction, the science just can't stand out. They portal, cool. It's like a doorway or a bus. I don't care how it works so long as it works. Yes. I kind of like science fiction that is like that too. I don't need the nitty gritty basics. Just, yeah. The more I hear about Jurassic World 2, the happier I am not watching it. Incest is a long-standing aspect of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
It is. InGen like to break all kinds of laws and rules of science, like in the Jurassic series. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, the incest to keep. Yes. We are all from ancestral lines. Yes. Brogan says, try to establish rules to how major technology works, but I don't go insanely deep into the inner workings of it. So, okay, this right here, we are all from ancestral lines. Hits, because technically we are. Somewhere in our ancestry, no matter what, we had family relations that were more than normal family relations. And yeah. So we can't. Cloning in and of itself, if you impregnate yourself with your clone, is much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Wish they could take the technology from Stargate Atlantis and make it where especially impaired people can fly with their mind. Yeah. Especially when I write something from a human perspective where the technologies are thrown around by the top species in the setting might as well be magic. Yes. Instead of splitting in half, it stays whole. It is not diluted. Yeah. It's a DNA bottleneck. Yeah. Pugs have become
Agreed.
squashed over time. Yeah.
Semantics. Yeah, semantics.
I think it's more the idea of the bowl of red paint left out for a long time. Right.
There we go.
So,
There we
yeah, that's the falling apart of the DNA. That is the degradation of it because it does
Yeah.
not have fresh red paint added to it. It doesn't become stronger, but it also doesn't become weaker if you add, instead of fresh red paint, say white paint to it to make it god awful color.
Corrupted. Corrupted. There we go.
Yeah. You guys prefer soft sci-fi or science fantasy to hard sci-fi? Yeah. Corrupted by online. Did it Ready Player One? Yeah. Spoiled bloodline, incesty bloodline. But yeah, it's
yeah.
okay. So we are winding down. Should we try to do a sprint?
Sprint. Felicia's like sprint. We've reached the end of the conversation. Sprint. I am sorry that my thing went on this long, but sprint time. Let's do sprint. Everybody, do something productive and get the noms and the toms and bathroom break and liquid sustenance and all that happy time fun stuff.
All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Get at it. All right. How did everybody do on that one?
I read about a chapter of my manga.
Nice. I got me some water to drink. Well, a propel, I should say. And got in 234 words. Not much, but it's something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my package that was supposed to be delivered on the 14th is still out for delivery.
So I've got 2 packages that are supposed to be delivered today. So maybe since they have 3 packages all together, they'll actually get delivered now.
Well, how are yours coming? Because mine came through the postal service.
I don't know. It just says Amazon. It doesn't say whether they gave it to the postal office or if it's Amazon.
Hmm.
I'm talking about ancestry. I haven't been able to go back too far on dad's side because there's some discrepancies, I guess I should say. Because my last name is Carter, Carder, and it goes back to sheep carters in Wales. But then dad's mom's side is Stockups. But there's several different spellings of Stockups because the family kind of split somewhere in the 1700s, I think it was. So it's kind of difficult to see which line I need to go back into to the main one. Yeah, trying to figure that out. It'll eventually come, but
One day.
one day I just got to sit down and actually work at it. I've toyed with it. I haven't actually, sat down and really worked with it. Let's see. 1950 census came out as a public record last year. My grandfather's listed as being at a hotel jail. Now I don't know what that means, but isn't that neat? That's not. That's awesome. Still got 1 panel left of this page, but got to work to get ready for now. Yeah, got to get to work. Sorry, Mel. Work always gets in the way. Felicia got in 194 words so far in my reverse outline. Nice. Let's see. Eva says, if you want me to dive in, I'm down. I do it when I feel like it and pay for Ancestry's online tools. Nice. So I can't promise I'll do it or when, but I do ramble a lot about what I find as I go. Nice. Maybe a hotel had a jail.
I found a house that was listed. I think it's in Pennsylvania. The house is like 3 stories and has a legitimate jail in the basement.
Hmm. The dungeon. Okay. I like the most recent obituary that links to the family to start. Grandparents, parents, or great grandparents, uncles, aunts, or siblings also work. Might have to get that to you. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It may have. It's a named hotel, so I'll look it up. It was in Iowa. Oh wow, dungeon,
Yes, dungeon.
dungeon. Yeah,
Yes, but it depends on what kind of dungeon.
yeah. I know there's there's some interesting things in my family. I know there is because even just within the last generation, some interesting things. My grandpa, at one point, this is on my dad's side. I never met him because he died of liver failure before I was born. But anyway, when he first got married to Granny, he suddenly had to disappear because he was being chased by the law. And Dad never figured out why Grandpa Roy was being chased by the law until about 10 years ago, I think it was, when he was talking to one of his dad's friends. Come to find out, Grandpa Roy, almost killed somebody. And it is a public record in Cherokee County. And yeah, they got into a fight over moonshine because Roy also used to run moonshine. It's cool. Also, one of my great grandparents was killed by a set of his grandkids because he was just mean. But the grandkids never got put in jail or anything because the cops were like, good riddance. Did good, kids. So yeah, interesting family history on dad's side. Mom's side, they really kept silent about a lot of things. So I don't know what kind of stories are there, but I'm sure there are. I mean, they were in the area for, as far as I know, since 1846 or so. And they moved there from the Raleigh area. And before the Raleigh area, they came over from Wales on a ship that was, I can't remember the name of it anymore. It seemed like it was Oran something. But yeah. Yeah, nice work, kiddos. Accidental 17 stab wounds. He died doing what he loved, complaining. They is only one name. You are many, many names. So many that are lost to the patriarchy. Yeah. But according to Dad, the grandkids. So Grandpa Barton was the man that was mean, and he would often go to his daughter's house and like beat up on her and yell at her, especially if she didn't have a meal ready for him when he just showed up on the random or whatever it was that he wanted. And so the grandkids finally got big enough to where they got mad about it, and they
handled the business.
Yeah. According to one story, it was a pickaxe and a wheelbarrow that they used. They basically threw him in the wheelbarrow and then continued to beat him with a pickaxe. And then the other story is that they used a wood axe because the whole family were loggers kind of thing. So yeah, I would believe the wood axe more than the pickaxe. But
now, this situation calls for my favorite quote from the animated TV series from the early 90s, The Critic. And nothing of value was lost.
yeah, he was. Some of the newspaper articles about him were awful. Like, he would go into town and would just grab a random person and beat the heck out of them, just for the heck of it, not even knowing them. Well, he obviously would know them because it's a small town, but yeah, he would just grab a random person and just beat the heck out of them.
Again, nothing of value was lost.
Right. And that's the reason why the cops were like, good job, kids.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Somebody took him out? Really? Huh. Well, who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, Red Riding Hood retelling with the twins. And I've met these so-called kids. They're like old. Well, they're both dead now. And they were mean. I thought that they were mean. So for them to think that their grandpa was mean is like, Yeah. Let's see. Thanks to his parents, my son has pirate Anglo-Saxon royalty and Daniel Boone blood, which might explain the ADHD and the pirate obsession. Yes. Grandpa Barton, from what I understood, he was like 6'1". Because supposedly Dad and Uncle Fred kind of took after him, and Dad and Uncle Fred are like 6'2", 6'3", and they are stout. I mean, every guy in our family is stout. So yeah, he was a big guy.
Present company excluded, but I just married into the family.
You got the nicer generational there. I've linked to Boone before, and also a close friend of his. Yeah. Not my own line, I don't believe. I don't recall now. Ancestry is a weird hobby of mine, considering my name recall sucks. It's all right. A lot of people can trace back to some woman Charlemagne Boink too. Yep. A lot of axes in this story. Yes, there is. Haven't really found anybody famous, I don't think, in my little search. But yeah, I know that we are definitely Welsh because Welsh comes from both sides of the family, and that proved. Well, it was proved in the little DNA test that I did. But we also have some Scottish. We have a touch of Irish. Most of the other stuff is Danish and German. So that counts for the mean streak, I guess. She okay. We'll see.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Man, that guy sure fell down a lot on sharp rocks, right? I thought he was a
Wow, he fell
tree.
down on that. Yeah, he fell down on that axe a lot.
Oh man, this story is my dad tells. I tell you, Dad kind of had a mean streak too. Well, no, all his crap was circumstantial. Everybody wanted to fight Dad. Everybody wanted to fight Dad, and Dad was like, "Okay, whatever." And then he'd end up, hitting somebody in the jugular, and they'd swear that he almost tried to kill him. So yeah. Oh goodness. According to Dad. Now, according to the other people, it's probably a completely different story. He probably could have egged it on. My great grandmother told my mother once a story that I could neither prove nor disprove. We are going to do DNA tests. Yes.
See, I have a story from my mom's side of the family that we're still trying to figure out because my mom and my dad both had a uncle of the same name and they grew up in the same town. But I don't know if it was like a real uncle or not. But the story that my mom tells is that when one of her grandparents passed, I don't know which one it was. I don't remember if it was her dad's dad or my grandmother's dad. But when one of them passed at the funeral, like a whole bunch of Native Americans showed up and walked to the end of the funeral and picked up the casket and walked out the door with it. But we don't know what tribe and none of that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. Subject of a robber crown.
Now, supposedly, we have a bloodline that owns a castle in Germany. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Sorry, I just pulled up Ancestry a little bit and I found all of my great uncles. my granny's brothers listed, along with a couple of her sisters. So yeah, there we go.
I'd love to know why I'm coughing suddenly.
Because you always cough.
Yeah, I suppose.
All right, cool. Let's see, I had a bit of a distraction. Apologies if I missed something. You're fine. I'm sure you do, Gonzo. Can't wait to send you photos of said castle that I'm meaning to go to. See you guys later. All right. If you have a tree, a link is great. Okay. I'm going to.
I think we do have a tree, but
yeah, your brother was working on it.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Let me see if I can actually sign into Ancestry and not have to pay for it.
I saw a thing the other day where, like, the Mormon Church has all kinds of information on almost every family out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to give them my information. Merely because, yeah, I don't want to, receive propaganda from a religious organization. Jesus.
You need to take some medicine.
I haven't done nothing but sit here.
Let's see, I'll make my own tree to verify things and help myself not get lost. Also, I add everything to my one massive tree, but other ancestry uses can see and get that information too. Living persons are not listed on Ancestry, yeah. A lot of our my family, at least, the older generations were the ones that had 20 kids. A lot was like a lot of other families. But yeah, it was just I grew up with them. And now that they're all gone, it's like, wow, our family is like 5 strong.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only time I ever see anybody, the only time I ever see relatives anymore is when somebody dies.
Mm, yeah.
That's why I have family and I have relatives. Most of my family is non-blood. They're found. With a few exceptions, like mom and my brother and the kids. Your family.
Yeah.
And your family, because I consider them family. Because they brought me into their family. So.
Yeah. Okay, so can I share this? Maybe. I have not done as much as I thought here on Ancestry. Maybe I was doing research on another website.
Maybe.
There we go.
Hell, your tree should be linked to me, so.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, it's been a while, and I didn't do much on Ancestry, it looks like. Found my biofilm with Ancestry. Found a few other biofilms too. Ancestry has changed a lot over the years. The website I started before I had internet access back in the 90s. I still have printouts from microfilm. Wow. That's awesome. But yeah, it has changed. I mean, I'm looking at the tree now and I don't remember seeing some of these things that you can do. Cool. All right.
Well, it is after 11.
It is. All right. So we probably need to get off here so people can go to other live streams. All right. And here is the link to the other AuthorTube live streams that are occurring today. There we go. If you want to jump on other live streams and get some more productivity done and hopefully not have random conversations. Okay. Thanks for the fun distractions. Yeah, I'll send you a link to my family tree in Ancestry Eva, just so you can play with it if you want to. You don't have to. I don't care. It's fine.
It would be cool. So
yeah.
Yeah, if you want to send her a link to mine as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyway, not anybody. Thank you for watching, and I will be back next Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So, bye.